In these last days, we've taken small baby steps to being released from lockdown, but they're very small steps, and it's quite clear that it's going to take a long time before there's any sense of normality, as we might call it, in terms of the way we do life. And as a result, with many of the things that we've relied upon being stripped away, as a result, many people are turning to religion. And I quite deliberately use the word religion rather than Christianity, because it's not just Christianity that people are looking into, but any kind of religion during this time of pandemic. And that takes us to the eighth question in this book. If you could ask God one question. Chapter 8 asks this: what about followers of other religions? Behind that question is the question, aren't all religions the same? Now, of course, if you think that religion is about being moral, if it's about trying to make the world a better place, then I guess you can say that is the case of all religions. They are all, in one sense, the same, if that's what it's about. But Christianity isn't about that. Christianity is about trying to restore our relationship with God. And Jesus himself said that there is only one way that can happen. He said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." It's an astonishing claim. And to understand it better, let me tell you about an incident where Jesus met a very religious man called Nicodemus. He was Jewish. He was a Pharisee, a religious leader. He was a member of the Jewish ruling council, so the highest council in the land. And he was also described as the teacher of teachers. He was a great teacher, in fact, the best teacher in Israel at the time. He was a very moral man. He would have kept all the laws of Judaism, and he would have lived the sort of life that most people would have aspired to live. You'd have loved having him living next door because he'd have been a great member of the community. He'd have been a great person to have on the neighbourhood watch scheme. He'd have looked after your house, and you'd have had no trouble with him. Now here is then this very moral, very religious man, and Jesus says this: "Unless you're born again, you will never see the kingdom of heaven." It is an astonishing remark. This really religious man, Nicodemus, Jesus says, unless you're born again, you won't ever get to heaven. That is such a huge comment because he's so religious. Now, Nicodemus understood what Jesus was saying. He was saying, how can that happen? How can I be born again? How can I, wait for it, climb back into my mother's womb and be born again? It's not a great picture to think about for long. But he understood the issue. I have a past. I can't start again. And that's our problem. I remember years ago somebody saying to me what they really wanted for Christmas was a big eraser so that they could rub out all the mistakes they've made in their past life. And there's our problem. We cannot be right with God because we have a past. And how can we begin again? How can we be born again? How can we start all over again and get rid of the past? Even if I could live a perfect life from now, I still have a past. There's the problem. And later on in the same chapter that Jesus met this religious man called Nicodemus, Jesus said this, probably the most famous words in the Bible. Jesus said, "God so loved the world that he sent his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life." Jesus came so that the past could be wiped clean. It's what we were thinking about a few videos back. Jesus came so that he could die on the cross so that I could have my past wiped clean and therefore be able to be right with God and meet with him. So no, all religions don't lead to God. All religions are not the same. Christianity is the only religion where one man has done everything for us to make us right with God and have a great future, a certain future of spending all eternity in heaven with God. Now that's chapter 8. You can get a copy of this book where you can read more on that chapter or any other of the questions that we've been addressing. If you could ask God one question, you can get a free copy from the publisher, the Good Book Company. If you go to their website, the Good Book Company, and then put in the search section, "If you could ask God one question ebook," then you can download a free ebook and read some more.